I'm Dennis Anderson along with Julie Zenner, and here's what's coming up on Almanac North.
Veterans Day was commemorated this week in communities across the region. Tonight we'll talk about veterans past, present, and future.
Well, a chilly north wind and the first significant snow this week signals the start of the cold and flu season. We'll talk with the doctor about the importance of getting your flu shot.
And we'll have the week's business news and bring you a story that was making headlines 25 years ago.
It's all coming up next on Almanac North. Hello and welcome to Almanac North. Thank you very much for watching. And Julia, we're going to spend time this evening talking about the men and women of the armed forces.
Yes, we are. It was Veterans Day this week.
That's right. A lot of people are thinking about that right now, so let's get started.
All right. Thank you, Dennis, and welcome everyone. This Wednesday was Veterans Day, when we pay respect to the men and women who have helped protect our country as members of the armed services. Once known as Armistice Day, Veterans Day is celebrated on the 11th hour of the 11th day of November, when the armistice went into effect, signaling the end of World War I. Also this week, the United States Marine Corps had its 240th birthday, and joining us to talk about Veterans Day and more is Dave Bowe, recently named the program manager at the Veterans Memorial Hall at the Duluth Depot, and Staff Sergeant Ryan Fife is with the U.S. Marine Corps here in Duluth. And thanks so much to both of you for being here.
Thank you.
Dave, as an Army vet, what does Veterans Day mean to you?
It's a day for not only for me as a veteran to reflect really a lot on my service. I served 20 years in the Army and then the Air National Guard, and so when I was serving, it meant something. But when I got out, it was an observance that I had, and it was very important for me. Though, as I get older, and as it's coming up to the 25th anniversary of the Desert Storm, which I participated in, I have been reflecting a lot more. So this year, Veterans Day was a little more important for me because that's been on my mind. Plus the fact that I just got this new job where I'm dealing now, basically 24/7 about veterans issues. So it's, for me, it's kind of coming back to my roots, so to speak, as a veteran. And revisiting all these things that I did when I was a veteran.
Sergeant Fife, who are the Marines?
Well, that's a broad question, but at the foundation of it, the United States Marine Corps is America's 911 force, and we're strategically placed all over the world to be able to help out with any amount of crises or contingencies that we may be able to assist with. And it's an organization that everybody who wears this title, United States Marine, is extremely proud to have that, and it's something that we earn very hard to do. And so, it's really just who we are.
Seems like there's a very tight camaraderie amongst Marines, no matter what age.
Absolutely. There's many different stories about younger Marines that meet up with older Marines, and you have this instant bond. So when you go through what it takes to become a United States Marine, you automatically have a connection with those individuals who have gone before you. And especially coming off the tail end of Veterans Day, it's an opportunity to speak with those who have gone before you. I wouldn't be here today serving in the United States Marine Corps if there wasn't the history and the legacy of the Marine Corps that went before I did. And so it's really humbling to be among yourself as well, those people who have chosen to serve and defend this country over the years.
And that history and legacy is something that you're dealing with every day now with the Veterans Memorial Hall. Talk about how that's come together and what visiting the Memorial Hall is like for people.
Well, the Memorial Hall as it is right now in the old Union Depot has been around since about the mid-90s, where they actually started collecting the equipment and the other artifacts of veterans and the letters and the histories. And so And what they've done is they have within the hall we have the museum that a lot of people, the public can come there and see it, and it's open most days of the week. But that's basically the tip of the iceberg for what we have there. That shows just a little bit of the artifacts that we have stored at the hall.
So, Dave, what would a visitor expect to see then if they should come to the hall?
When they come there, they're going to see relatively a small facility, but within that small facility, there's jam-packed a large history of the United States military from the Civil War all the way up to the current conflicts. We have a little exhibit for each one, and within those exhibits, there are particular artifacts that reflect that time. You know, Civil War, we have some nameplates, some like a canteen. Other things got some uniforms, some ammo cases, weapons, and each one reflects the different types of artifacts that come with those wars. But at the same time, they paint a picture of how within all those different conflicts, a lot of things were still really the same. And he hit on one thing, was the camaraderie. And when I talk with veterans and we get their stories and we collect them, a lot of them have that same theme in their stories, as far as they were just there doing their job, and they were just there to be with their buddies, you know, on the front lines. And that's shown in the museum when you go there.
Staff Sergeant, how large a Marine presence is there in our region?
You know, it's relatively small. It's actually very small. So as a canvassing recruiter here in the local area of Duluth, we have 4 Marines that cover roughly 34,000 square miles. So we have a very small presence of active duty. However, there is a large amount of retirees or veterans, so to speak, that are in the area. But active duty, there is only 4 of us.
Do you get the sense in talking to people that there is a respect for the military in this region and the history of the people who've gone in the uniform before you?
Absolutely. When you're out in public, especially when we're wearing uniform, we get noticed a lot. You know, we stand out. And so we get a lot of individuals come up to us and thank us for our service, maybe talk about their siblings or their children who have served. And it really gives us a great appreciation for the community in the Northland that has been willing to participate in the armed forces over the years.
Do you think the military, Sergeant, is different today from, well, I went through Army basic training 51 years ago. Has it changed a little bit?
Oh, absolutely. When you're talking about something as an armed force, technology is going to play a huge part in it. And so you have to be able to adapt to any situation that comes up. And we have a lot of ways that we do that. You know, as an armed force, we have to be able to develop professionally, to be able to get out there and keep America safe regardless of what we have to do.
Around Veterans Day, a lot of people think about some of the issues that veterans face when they come back from their tours of duty. Talk about that, Dave, the challenges of kind of getting back into society when you come back. You've been on multiple tours.
Well, what's fortunately has happened is over the decades is that the awareness of some of the more hidden problems that veterans come back from war from. You know, it's not just the physical loss of a limb or other things, but like PTSD. My generation in the first Gulf War, we had the issue with the Gulf War syndrome, which, you know, I had some friends from the war who are suffering from that.
Sure.
And those are being addressed a lot more and more openly now in society than they did in the past, and which I think is very helpful. There's still a lot of room there for improvement, but the awareness is so much more, and I think it's attributed to what our government is doing, what the military itself is doing, and at the same time, even something as simple as a Veterans Hall like we have here in Duluth that raises that awareness to the general public about what our men and women in uniform have done over the years, and I think that helps solidify that awareness as far as, you know, when they come home, they do bring home some baggage, and
Yeah.
it's helpful that we have a society that is embracing that and is understanding that.
And as a community, how are we doing in terms of providing those services that veterans need when they come back?
I think we're doing very good. Duluth, I've worked with a lot of the organizations here in Duluth for many years in this capacity and previously working for the government. And I've seen that within the local VA system, with our clinics here, with the VA officials, the vet center, and the MACV for the homeless veterans. There is a strong here in the Northland, a strong support for the veterans.
Vets are embraced here.
And that has been, I think that's been that way in the Northland for a long time, because the Northland is well known for its strength in the wars.
Sergeant Fife, on another subject, there is a Toys for Tots program here. Tell us about that if you can.
Absolutely. And so the Toys for Tots program was founded in 1947, and the main goal for that program is to serve maybe underprivileged children who at the holiday times or around Christmas time are not able to get toys or whatever they need for that time. And so what happens is there's different drop-off locations, and those can be found at toysfortots.org. And over the years, since 1947, over 5 million toys have been distributed to those individuals who need that in this time of holiday season. And so it's really a big positive impact on the community, and it's definitely a wonderful program that's out there to help a lot of people.
And the toys that are given, they're all donated in this immediate area.
That's correct.
Yeah.
And how are the Marines involved in that?
Now, the actual Toys for Tots program is run by the United States Marine Corps. So it was founded by the Marine Corps Reserves, and it's upheld by them as well. So anytime you're going to go to a drop-off location, you'll see some form of United States Marine Corps there, making sure that everything's getting done the way it's supposed to be done.
Now, we have a voluntary military in our country, and you as a recruiter are out there interfacing with young people every day. Do you find that there's a lot of interest right now in people joining the military?
There is. It depends on really the community. Right now, it seems pretty strong. And so as a canvassing recruiter here local to Duluth, I am privileged with being out there to talk with all the qualified young men and women who are interested in serving their country. And so it really does pay dividends to be out there and actually see the fruits of these individuals going through the rigors of recruit training and earning the title Marine, and seeing them come back transformed into something a little bit different. We're standing a little taller.
And we were talking a little bit before we came on the air that in addition to being a recruiter, you're a jet mechanic.
Yes, that's correct.
So there's a lot of interest in our area in the aviation industry. Are you finding that this is really a right place to be trying to find people?
I think in any community, you're going to find the demographic that we're looking for. However, being that we do have a lot of aviation here in the Northland, it definitely helps. Now, what most people don't understand is that the Marine Corps actually has over 300 different MOSs, or military occupational specialties. So really, in order to find out if it's something that you're looking for, or maybe a field that you're looking to get some experience in, you really need to speak with someone like myself, or maybe look at marines.com in order to find out some more information on whether or not we have what you're looking for.
Dave, all of the items at Memorial Hall are certainly treasured items. They belong to people, veterans. But are there some that are right there up at the top? What do you have there to see?
Well, we have a lot of uniforms. We do have one authentic Medal of Honor.
Really?
For Mike Calillo, and we're hoping to get another one. But we have a lot of other medals as well too. I had some out the other day, and I think these are really special. Are a lot of the letters that these veterans wrote, and the letters that they received from their loved ones when they were overseas. I was actually showing some children the other day a telegram that was sent to a veteran, and it read just like a text or an email. So I was explaining to these children, this is how these veterans got word back. And as he probably knows, even today, as it was back in World War II in Korea, when you got that mail, that was treasured. And so when you look at those letters now, veterans, they'll look at those letters and they say, yes, that made a huge, huge difference. Just for example, one thing though is what we have here is, this is an old gas mask. I'm gonna say old because it's my gas mask from when I was in, and so I'm old. And I wore this during the first Gulf War. So this one has sort of a meaning to it because I constantly had it on because of threats from Scud missiles.
Sure. Wow.
Well, interesting. Thank you so much, both of you, for coming in. Happy Veterans Day. Thank you for your service.
Thank you.
Both of
Thank you.
Thank you both.
Appreciate it.
Now, let's dig into our news file archive for a look at what was making news 25 years ago this week.
Iraq's brutality, aggression, and violations of international law cannot be allowed to succeed.
The president is not saying tonight exactly how many more soldiers are being sent to the region, but sources say thousands of troops and hundreds of tanks will be moved in from Europe. About 230,000 troops are already involved in Operation Desert Shield. Bush may be mad at Iraq, but today's move will hurt you and your pocketbook too. The director at UMD's School of Business told me today, if we go to war and gasoline prices jump to $3 a gallon, like experts say it will, the Duluth economy won't escape the impact.
The energy shocks negatively affected most people's pocketbooks. That is, they had to pay higher prices for many things, particularly those products that have energy, high degree of energy built into them. Products that might have to be transported long distances.
But the threat of rising domestic prices is obviously not enough to quell the president's anger at the leader of Iraq.
I think Saddam Hussein should fully, without condition, comply to the UN resolutions, and if this movement of force is what convinces him, so much the better.
Well, have you had your flu shot? It's a question you will likely hear if you visit your doctor over the next few months. Now, for many of us, having our annual flu shot is a matter of routine. Yet for many others, the flu vaccine is looked on with suspicion. And so tonight, we've enlisted the help of a medical professional to dispel some myths about the flu shot and other things. And joining us is Dr. Andrew Thompson, an epidemiologist with St. Luke's Infectious Disease Associates. Doctor, thanks for being here. Let's get right to the nitty-gritty. Can the flu shot give you the flu?
The flu shot cannot give you the flu. What's contained in the flu shot is a killed virus. So it is completely sterile. It's not living. It's a killed virus. It's grown in chicken eggs, and we give a tiny dose to you so your immune system can become trained. So when it recognizes that flu that's circulating, it knows exactly what to do.
And yet I've read where about 40% of the people who get flu shots or are thinking about flu shots believe that a flu shot can give you the flu. It cannot.
It cannot give you the flu. It's a persistent myth. And I understand why that is out there, because I had a cold this week. My voice is a little hoarse. Had I gotten my flu shot last week, I might think, oh, I got sick from the flu shot. It happens to coincide with cold season. So that, is an association, but it is not an illness related to the flu shot.
Good to know.
Well, when you talk about the cold and the flu kind of being lumped together, what distinguishes the two? How does somebody know if they're just getting that seasonal winter cold or if they actually have influenza?
Great question. There are a lot of viruses. There are hundreds and hundreds of viruses out there. They all circulate in similar ways. People cough, sneeze. The virus floats through the air and can infect someone else. Now, a cold causes nasal congestion, and you might feel tired and your eyes itch and your throat's sore, you might have a cough. But the flu is an entirely different infection. People have high fevers. They feel incredibly fatigued, like they've been hit by a truck. And in a healthy person, they probably will feel miserable for 3, 4, 5 days, have high fevers, and get better.
So how do the makers of flu vaccine know what strains they should prepare for? A year or two ago, it was kind of a miss.
Last year was an unfortunate year.
Yeah.
And they predicted pretty well what was circulating, but what was circulating mutated and between the time we made the vaccine and the actual flu season. So there's a worldwide group of experts that collect samples throughout the year from all over the world. And then they meet in early in the year and decide what should we put in our flu vaccine. Different countries can decide different things, and here the FDA helps decide what we should put in our flu vaccine. Most years, they're right on.
So who should get the flu vaccine, and is there anybody who should not get the flu vaccine?
Everyone should get the flu vaccine. There are a few exceptions, but those people are in close contact with their doctor because they probably have underlying problems or illnesses that would prevent them from
Yeah.
getting it. But everyone should get it, and especially people who are at higher risk of having a serious case of the flu or complications. And that's a pretty big list of people. Anyone over 65, children under 5, anyone with that chronic health problem, from diabetes to COPD or lung disease, or anyone who's around those folks, because you don't want to spread it to those people.
Now, I got my flu shot about 3 weeks ago. Can you get it too early?
You can't really get it too early. As soon as it's released, it's appropriate to start getting your flu shot.
Can you get it too late?
You can get it too late because it takes about 2 weeks from the time you get the shot before you've developed strong immunity. So if you wait until flu season is in full swing, and in this area it's usually around December when we start to see cases, you're susceptible and you could become infected.
Now, you already talked about the fact that you can't get the flu from the flu vaccine, but are there other side effects that people could expect after getting the shot?
Most commonly, people get a sore arm. I mean, you just got a shot, you're going to have a sore arm. And some people will have kind of a low-grade temperature, feel a little achy, a little run down. That's your immune system starting to work. That achiness, that run-down feeling is your immune system starting to activate.
So that's a good thing.
Yes, that's a good thing, and you know it's working. There are very rare, 1 in a million type complications that people can get from any vaccine.
Yeah. What other myths might there be surrounding flu shots?
Oh, well, there are a lot of myths around vaccinations that they can cause all sorts of maladies, but we have an amazing amount of data showing that they're very safe.
Okay. Now, I got a vaccine today for pneumonia. That shouldn't be confused. That has nothing to do with the flu at all.
Exactly. The flu is a very specific virus. There's a pneumonia shot out there which prevents bacterial pneumococcal pneumonia, which is also very effective. It doesn't prevent every type of pneumonia, but we do give it for some serious strains.
Is it ever better to just have the flu
Yeah, just
than
have
to
a natural
get
illness.
the vaccine? Do you have more immunities coming off of the natural flu?
No, you don't. You don't, and you don't develop a better immunity from getting an infection. And the other thing is, flu changes every year. Why do we have to get a new vaccine every year? In part because it wears off, but also there are new strains circulating. The flu has many different parts that recombine, and it's always mutating.
Yeah.
So even if you got the natural flu this year, you're still susceptible next year to get it again.
Who's mostly at risk for these kinds of flus? Would it be the elderly, the very young, somebody somewhere in between?
Yeah, it's both the elderly, people with lung disease, and the young. And that's really what I try to emphasize is, even if you don't fit in that category, do what you can to help protect those people. Because we all encounter young people, older people, people who might have a chronic medical condition. And even if they're vaccinated, they could still become infected. So let's all get our vaccine and try and prevent it from spreading.
So how are these strains of flu spread then? You just brought that up.
Right, it's spread through droplets. So it's the kind of coughing, sneezing, airborne virus. So you can really do your best to avoid touching people or contracting it, but it's pretty hard. If you go out into public, you're going to be breathing the same air that someone who is sick is coughing into.
And this can be a pretty serious thing if any of those people in some of the categories that you were talking about come in contact with this and would contract the flu.
Yes, last year in Minnesota there were over 4,000 people hospitalized for influenza. And every year in this country, somewhere between 10 and 50,000 deaths are attributable to flu. So there's a lot of illness and mortality due to influenza.
Do a lot of people come into the hospital fearing they might have the influenza and it may not be?
Yeah, in flu season, people who become sick, if they have those symptoms, it's likely they do have the flu.
Yeah.
but they might present to their clinic or the emergency room concerned about it. And we have good ways to rule that out and examine them and determine
All right.
it.
Dr. Andrew Thompson, good discussion. Thank you very much.
My pleasure.
Appreciate it.
Well, it's time now for the week's economic news from Business North. A new weekly shopper has been launched in a market that already has two similar newspapers. Mines and Pines debuted in late August in Itasca County. Launched by Steve Saxton and Jeff Kaiser, the new publication takes aim at advertisers that want to combine traditional print advertising with digital links to reach a broader audience. It has gained the support of several car dealerships and real estate brokers, which are steady advertisers. Direct mail is used to deliver 21,000 copies to households and businesses.
Well, with 2 months left in the shipping season, Great Lakes ports are busy moving grain and project cargo. Now this year, those goods have provided good news for the Port of Duluth Superior. Although shipments of iron ore and coal have declined, heavy project cargo has generated traffic, according to the Duluth Seaway Port Authority. U.S. grain shipments have also been strong, increasing by 32% in October. At least 2 more salties are expected to visit the port before the end of this season.
A longtime and significant customer of Cliffs Natural Resources this week declared bankruptcy for the 4th time. SR Steel Algoma in Sault Ste. Marie, Ontario is seeking court protection for the 2nd time since April 2014. Before the latest bankruptcy papers were filed this week, Cliffs had sued SR seeking $90 million in damages related to overdue payments for taconite pellets. Cliffs received partial court relief in October when a judge allowed it to stop supplying the steelmaker. In the bankruptcy filing, SR asks the court to force Cliffs to resume its taconite supply. For more on these and other stories, visit businessnorth.com.
If you have a comment about this week's show, call now. Dial 218-788-2849 to leave a message, or send us an email to almanacnorth@wdsc.org. And don't forget to check out the WDSC website for updates on your favorite programs, news about station events, and a whole lot more. Julie, time to get your flu shot.
Yeah, I'm one of those people who never gets it.
Uh-oh.
So far I haven't gotten sick either, but I think after talking with the doctor tonight,
You may do
may
it.
wind up doing it.
All right, thank you kindly. For Julie and the crew here at Almanac North, thank you very much for watching. I'm Dennis Anderson. Have a great weekend. Good night, everybody, and be kind.